Okay, I think we're live. I think we're live. We are live. Fantastic. All right, let me just mute Pump Fun. Pull that to the side. Yes, sir. What is up, Dog Syrup? I see you in the pump chat. A rare pump chatter. What's going on, dude? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing excellent. Fantastic, even. Spectacular. Guys, we have a lot to chat about today. Welcome. This is Overexposed. I'm Eddie, aka Dancing Eddie, and we are live once again every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a lot to talk about. We are going through the ringer today, so to speak. Might be joined by a guest, might be joined by Flow Trader. I'm hoping he comes today. I am hoping so, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Unclear. Unclear. Let me go ahead and pin this one up. Pin Prost to my profile. Pin. Fantastic. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see. All right. Dog Syrup not there anymore. He might be gone. That's okay. If you guys are watching on X, you know the deal. Or if you guys are watching on Pump Fun or Twitch or wherever you might be, leave a comment. Just say hello. I'd love to see you guys there. Want to just like engage with you guys, say hello, because this is live. So you can feel free to say hello, and I will hear you out. So let's see here. Oh, you know what I've been saying? I've been saying hello, chat, much more often in person, like in the real world. In fact, I was at a bar the other day, and someone let me through or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, chat." The guy was like, "What?" And I was like, my guy, like, what do I say? How do you recover from that? How do you recover from saying thanks, chat, or hello, chat, in the real world? People are, dude, streaming is like, it is exposure therapy in the worst way. It is really not great. But hey, it's a lot of fun. Oh my gosh. And yeah, again, if you guys are watching the show, you know the deal. I would love to see you guys in the comments, likes, reposts, etc. But also, please leave a live comment. I love chatting with you guys while you guys watch the show. You know the deal. So let's hop into it, baby. Let's get into things. All right. So starting off the top of the hour, one of the most widely, we'll go with this. Bitcoin is having a serious quantum issue. Okay. One of the most widely followed Wall Street strategist, Chris Wood, author of Greed and Fear, removed BTC from his long-term asset allocation model portfolio this week due to quantum computing risks. That's actually very interesting. So without going into too much detail here, I will say, regardless of whether or not quantum computing is actually a concern for Bitcoin, there is more and more, like, there are more and more people that are starting to say that Bitcoin might actually be at risk of quantum, right? Like quantum breaks Satoshi's wallet, and it breaks the key, gets inside, and now suddenly a massive amount of supply is available to the market, which would basically nuke Bitcoin price to zero. Like overnight, bang, asset worthless. Effectively. It would probably lose 95% of its value within days, if not more, if not less. So all that to say, there is, rightfully or wrongfully, increasing concern around quantum when it comes to Bitcoin. And yeah, like you could argue, and you could argue kind of rightfully so, that if Bitcoin is exposed to quantum risk, well, there's other problems at hand, right? Like if you can crack into Bitcoin, if a threat actor has the opportunity to crack Bitcoin with quantum, imagine what they can do to the rest of security infrastructure across the planet. Imagine how many Fortune 500 companies will genuinely be at serious security risk if quantum computing is able to crack Bitcoin. And yeah, that's probably true. But regardless of whether or not, like, there are other actual serious concerns about quantum computing, there is increasingly the quantum concern as for Bitcoin, because Satoshi's wallet is just such an obvious overhang that people are starting to have actual concerns about it. And I do expect that Bitcoin's gonna have to do something to make it quantum resistant going forward. Like, there's gonna have to be some genuine discussion about this because the, the marketing, like the negative marketing, the negative media around Bitcoin's exposure to the quantum risk, even if that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years off, is still strong enough that it seems to be actually harming in the near term. So this needs to get fixed. We're going to keep things rolling. We're going to keep things going high and tight today. High and tight. Quick, fast, speedy. Yes, that is me dancing. This was like 2 years ago. That's like 2 years ago now. I love Lily. She's great. She's absolutely a kind heart. Did not know what to do, dude. I'm just kind of using the hips. Just using the hips. I will say, dude, like I definitely do better with the contacts as opposed to the glasses. Like the glasses are not bad. They're not bad, but contacts are a better look. Yeah. Now I haven't listened to the full context here, but Sulaiman Khan Gori was an XAI. Okay. Dude, that was a tough start. Oh, that's funny. XAI employee Sulaiman Khan Gori was basically fired the other day because he went on a podcast to do a tell-all about XAI. Why? Why he did this? No idea. But he felt compelled for one reason or another to go on a podcast to talk for over an hour at length about a lot of actually fairly sensitive data as relates to XAI. He talked about how he got hired, what the process was like, what the internal workings of XAI are like, which is for a company that's in as PvP mode as possible. It's a little bit shaky to be sharing genuine insider knowledge publicly on a podcast. We'll call it maybe not the best tactical decision. He literally rambled for an hour and a half, sharing really sensitive data on this. And we're going to go into some of the more specific stuff on this later. But like, don't ever go on a podcast and say, hey guys, I joined this really influential tech company that's also at war with like 5 other tech companies. And here's exactly how we operate. Here's our plans for the next few years. And here's what we want to do. Not the vibe. With Elon Musk, especially, his companies seem to have this one kind of trend with their employees. If you join and work for Elon Musk, you are going to be part of a team that's solving pretty interesting problems very quickly, kind of constant startup culture. And you're going to get paid a lot of money, and you're going to get great equity opportunities, and you're going to have constantly something that's interesting to do, but you're not going to get famous of your own accord, and you're not going to talk about it publicly, and you are not going to become an influencer. So if you just want to solve problems and be like a super engineer and just focus on problems and get paid decently for doing so, that's why you join Tesla, SpaceX, XAI. That's why you join those teams. But if you actually like want to be a tech influencer, or I don't know, like start your own company and come out of it and do, that's not the route. You're not going through Elon's companies. That has become abundantly clear. Tough for this guy, right? Like tough look, and also just not super professional, dog. Like he seems like a smart guy. Just in the future, don't go on any more podcasts to talk about your active employment. Not the move. But yeah, weird decision. Yeah, exactly. As an employee, you do not get to unilaterally appoint yourself spokesperson, especially about your leader's working style, internal processes, or culture. Breach of trust 101. Totally. Not to mention, actually concerning for investors and whatnot. Like, there's sensitive data and sensitive information and plans that he talked about to some extent. Not the move. Not the move. And as competitive a culture as AI tech startups are right now, that is like giving your enemy your battle plan. It's just kind of bizarre. But the allure of the podcast. The man yearns for podcasting. Men yearn to be on a podcast and share opinions. Oh, tough. Tough look for the boy. I'm thinking about talking about this, but we might come back to this if we have time. I think it's kind of interesting, but I'm going to need a minute to flesh out my opinion on that. No. Okay. This I want to talk about. Let's see. Tech startups focused on AI boyfriends are making hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, it's actually ridiculous how much money some of these companies are making. This post is from 2024. CL says, when Cat, referring to himself, was at, for any of you that don't know, he does refer to himself as Cat. When Cat was at Off-Kai, this anime conference in San Francisco, a girl spent a long time telling Cat himself her AI boyfriend was so much more emotionally intelligent and available than her real boyfriend. This was in 2024. In 2026, that same company is now making $360 million a year revenue, recurring revenue. They're probably going to make more money this year and going forward. Dude, like, is dating over? Is like women are replacing men with AI boyfriends? Men are replacing women with ChatGPT? And like Grok as an anime waifu? You have to be worried for our nation's youth. Like for the youth of the world at this point. Honestly, it's like, you'd think that it's not you'd think that there's not actually a real chance that these dating apps are actually, going to be replaced by AI, or that dating is going to actually be replaced by these AI bots. Yeah, no, there's no shot. Like, no one would actually fall for that. Everyone actually wants the real respect and care of another human being. Apparently not. $360 million a year says otherwise. And that's just for one of the startups. And you're hearing stories that are coming out of OpenAI where people are having emotional attachments to the bot. I read a story about a girl who took all of the data that she could find about Luigi Mangione and just uploaded it to an AI and said, be my boyfriend. And she's like, yeah, Luigi loves me. What? It's kind of silly. It's a little concerning. We might be cooked. We really, truly might be cooked. What else we got? No, I'll keep going. Do I want to talk about this? No. I mean, I just did, so talk about that. We'll talk about that. Okay. There's been these posts that keep going around where someone's like, oh, there's nothing stopping you from moving to Thailand or from moving to San Francisco. You could split the most beautiful apartment you've ever lived in. And oh my God, you're going to have the best life ever. And you're only going to work on products and solve problems and sell and make millions of dollars. There's nothing stopping you. It's like, I just don't want to do that. Like, I'm not moving to San Francisco and living with 5 other guys in the same co-working space, getting up and just being like, guys, we're solving AGI, us as a group. I'm not about it. I kind of yearn for a little bit more, we'll call it trad of a life. I kind of want to just I have some roommates now. They're great guys. I love them to death. I kind of want to at some point, like, find a girl, hang out, go down that path. Keep working in my path. I don't need to go and split, a mini mansion and live with some guys and just do like Thai kickboxing for 6 hours a day and then work on products, products for the other, I don't know, however many hours, and then like eat the most perfect fruits, but I'm in Thailand. Like, not the vibe. I don't know. There's just a lot of people that post this stuff. Not my vibe. What if I like New York? What if I like New Jersey? What about the guy out there who's like, you know what? Virginia ain't so bad. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the only thing stopping me is my own opinion. Like I just don't feel like it. It's not my. That's not what I want. Oh, so bizarre. So bizarre. So bizarre. If anyone's watching right now, by the way, please leave a comment. Would love to would love to chat with you guys. Genuinely, like if you are watching, come say hi. We're live, so say hello in either Pump Chat or the X Chat. We're also live on Twitch. Just say hello. I'll say hello back. Yeah, this is so bizarre. If you ever want to exit a company, let's see. How do I explain this? How do I start this off? If you ever want to exit a company, do not say that the company is going under. Like, do not say that the company, I do not believe in the future of the company and want to sell for very good reason. Okay? Like, guys, I have these assets that I think are going to be worth less sooner than later. So I want to I want to sell them at their current high value. Who is going to buy them? Can anyone help me? Can anyone help buy them? Please. Like that's not how you do it, Emily. That's not how you promote it. It's like, what are we talking about here? I have a very small angel check, which, by the way, $5,000 angel checks, crazy tiny. I hear about these kind of, I hear about these kind of checks in crypto all the time, like small $5,000, $10,000 checks, and I think honestly, like if you are accepting $5,000 into a round, I've been actually offered personally the opportunity to put $5, 10, $15,000 into a round, and I feel almost bad doing it because like it's such a small amount of money for an actual company that's trying to actually do something that it just becomes overhang. Like it just becomes management overhang. How do you accurately take care of someone like an investor that only put $5,000 into it? If it balloons, it becomes a serious problem because now this investor who put $5,000 in has a massive, massive multiple and it's like, wow, I need to unload my $300,000 position. But now for the founder, you've got like, okay, one of my investors might be trying to do secondary transactions that I might not necessarily approve of, bring in investors that I don't really want. And it's just a whole series of concerns. Like founders probably should not be taking such small angel checks. Real, like in all honesty. And also, yeah, if you are looking to sell one, don't if you're trying to sell your own position privately on secondaries, don't say for very good reason, I do not believe in the future of the company and want to sell. Okay. Well, I don't want to buy then. Like I was thinking about it, and then you said you have very good reason to be selling because you do not believe in the future of the company. What's the reason? What's the problem? Oh my gosh. And actually, that's a good time to talk about this. This is becoming a serious issue, right? Because companies are just not going public anymore. Companies really are just barely going public at this point in time. We've got very few actually leading examples of it, right? Last year we had Circle do an excellent IPO. This coming year we have some actually decent looking ones, right? SpaceX appears to be on the docket. OpenAI looks like it might be on the docket. But you've got Anduril, which is a private company and has been staying private for a very long period of time. And these companies are having valuations that are absolutely ballooning, all in private. We're talking about going from tens of millions to hundreds of billions to even upwards of $1 trillion, all while still private. And Anduril is one of the premier examples of this, right? Anduril is an excellent company in defense tech that has just absolutely been ballooning over the course of the past 2-3 years. And it's still private. So if you want to have access to the shares, there's really no way of getting it unless you are somehow, one way or another, accredited or otherwise able to get stock or able to buy shares on secondary markets direct from employees or other individuals that were granted shares earlier on in the process. And that's actually leading to apparently one of the co-founders of Anduril says there are a lot of scams going on with wildcat secondary markets that have absolutely zero respect for the original teams. There are real scams going on with people that want to buy on these secondary markets. So these secondary markets are very hard to access. And if you can access them, it's like almost a dark market where you don't really know who's selling what and who's buying what. I mean, this guy is literally, there are people that are getting, like, there was a recent indictment announced in New York around a case where someone was out slinging Anduril SPVs that did not have access to Anduril, and the guy was just pocketing the cash. He was just indicted and arrested at JFK. It's like, this is one of the problems of a system in which companies are just not going public because they're not going public early on. Anyone who actually is really, really hungry to get access to these shares has to go into these secondary transactions. And it's just a scam market at this point. Like, there is serious concerns. And yeah, this isn't a blanket comment that all secondaries are bad. They're not. There's a category of these people that have just no respect and are basically just fraudsters and hucksters. What is a huckster? I've not heard that word in a long time. Search Google. A person who smells. A huckster is a person who sells small items either door to door or from a stall or small store. Huh. Shout out to the hucksters out there. I believe, yeah, special purpose vehicle. Yeah, this is just like, the secondary market is at this point, I think, one of the best opportunities going forward of, like, if you can learn how to make the secondary market more available, more clear cut, right? Like, so that you know who you're buying from and why. And yes, if it takes more restrictions to get there, fine. But that is one of the hardest to access markets, as far as I'm aware, that exists today. And that's where a lot of trading's going on, because people can't get access to the shares they want access to. People want to invest in Anduril. The company looks fantastic. I want to be an Anduril shareholder. If Anduril was on the stock market today, I would own shares. At the current valuation, whatever it is, I would own shares today. But it's not, so I don't have access to it. I can't buy it. So people are going out of their way to get onto secondaries and in the process getting scammed. And it's just like, this is why people are asking for SEC reform. You know, it makes sense. Anyway, this is just one of the wilder developing stories that I've been paying attention to for the past year or so. What else we got? I've been getting texted left and right, but none of the texts are from pretty women. I'm kidding. What is said here? I mean, what am I watching here? Like, just an edit? Why did I bookmark this? Oh man, I gotta say, like, the streaming community at this point, it's just the guys who watch people like Clavicular and Tristan Tate and all the streamers just yap on and on. I don't know, doing like random in-person stuff. They're like, guys, did you see what Clavicular did? Did you see that Clavicular got banned from the next Miami club? Like, guys, did you see what? It's just the same vibe as all the guys that made fun of all the girls that watch the Kardashians. Same vibe. It's the same vibe. It is the same reality garbage, mess, slop fest that, I mean, there's just nothing here, right? Like, there's really just nothing here. There's nothing additive, nothing interesting. It's just a guy. It's spiritually on the same plane as any guy, or spiritually it's on the same plane as any girl or any whoever that's just watching the Kardashians or dance moms or whatever. It's the same thing. It's the same, basically just garbage. Maybe it's entertaining to you, but it's basically just garbage. Oh, this one's interesting. Let me see if I can pull up. I want to pull up Stats' post on this. Punk. What's his name? He goes by @stats, I think. People. Punk 9059. That's what it was. Oh, that's a cute picture of him. He looks great. Anyway, so he had a post on this. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Alcohol consumption is at all-time lows. People are drinking much less alcohol than they've ever drank before. Alcohol companies are sitting on huge stockpiles as demand is just plummeting. Like all these companies, Brown-Forman, Campari, Diageo, Pernod Ricard, Remy, who are these companies? Their stockpiles of alcohol are just flying. No one's drinking alcohol anymore. $22 billion of aging spirits, the highest inventory level in more than a decade. That's unbelievable. Where no one's drinking anymore. And there's a lot of competing rationale or reasoning as to why people think this is happening. I think there's a good percentage of people are just not drinking anymore because there's a lot of conversation about how alcohol is just really not good for you. Actually, I was talking to someone and they were wearing an Aura ring, like one of those rings that they put on where it just measures your sleep score and whatever. And they were saying, I used to drink kind of, a couple times a week or once a week or whatever. And then I would drink and I would wake up the next day and my Aura ring would tell me, it would just yell at me. Like the ring that was measuring my health was saying that I was having horrible sleep. My heart patterns were off. I kept waking up. I was restless. Like there's no wonder I was having a terrible next day. And they're just not drinking as much anymore because they're like, all of the things that were measuring my health said that the day that I drank was the least healthy I had been since the last time that I drank. And also at the same time, other like recreational drugs are becoming much more available to people. So people are doing those instead of alcohol. I think there's a lot of variables that are ongoing all at kind of the same time. And the net result is people are just not drinking as much alcohol. It's not even like if you have been noticing this in your day to day, right? If you've been noticing and hearing more people be like, oh, I'm just sober January. It's a real thing. It is a real thing. Like this is not anecdotal. There are actual numbers to show that generally speaking, alcohol companies are starting to struggle with sales. They are stuck sitting on alcohol that they just can't sell. Although aged wines are probably going to be doing phenomenal. Like we're probably going to get really good opportunities to get much older wines in 20, 30 years because they just can't sell them now. So this is a long-term play, actually. Gen Z, this is the long-term play by the Zoomers to get cheaper wines in 30 years. That's the play. I see it. I see the vision. Let's see what people have to say. Yeah, Instagram made more diverse social activities acceptable. Yep. It's really bad for you. Yep. Too many drugs. Yep. It's poison. Yeah, like it seems like people kind of realize there's a bunch of people realize it's not good for you. It seems like a lot of people are realizing that it really is just actually terrible for you. Even though can be fun. Much more fun than smoking. Yeah, I mean, welcome to the new era. People are realizing that alcohol is bad for you, that there are other options, and it's also expensive at a time where people are not that rich. So, might explain why alcohol is very much on the down low and losing ground fast. What else we got? Where are my bookmarks? Keep going. What do we got? Oh, geez. Wow. Holy crap. There's a lot of bookmarks here. We got to pick up speed. We got to pick up the pace. There's so much to get through. I went on a bit of a bookmark spree last night. So, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Weed had Mary Jane did a huge cultural 180 in the mid 2000s, right? Like early 2000s. If you knew anyone that did Mary Jane, it was like, whoa. That guy's weird. That guy's edgy. He's on the out crowd. Now it's like boomers these days are doing it in public, and it's totally accepted. Even in New York, I was in New York City at the time where I literally felt it shift. I moved to New York City in 2017 for college, and by the end of my college years, people I went from barely ever smelling weed on the street in New York City to smelling it on every corner in a span of 4 years. So when people are asking, why is alcohol going down? Why is alcohol drinking rate going down? Why are these companies having actual trouble selling alcohol? If you're wondering why, I think one of the biggest reasons is because there are alternatives now. Not only people are aware that alcohol actually sucks for your body, but there are genuine alternatives that are readily available. Every few months, a new dispensary opens up nearby. People got options. Let's see. One of the biggest trends of the last month has been vibe coding, right? It's been an ongoing and consistent trend for the better part of the last 2 years. But in the last month, Claude Code got actually phenomenal at doing so. And the ability to build a brand new app from scratch in minutes, maybe hours at most, has grown exponentially. And people are now like, wait a minute. If I can vibe code, right? Like if I could put together a new app, what if I could vibe circuit build? Not working. This is great. That makes sense, and it's my fault. The way I drew it earlier effectively put the DC across L1, a near short from 9 volt to Q1 to L1 to GND, which will absolutely make an inductor get hot and smoke. It didn't just get hot; it literally caught fire. And I'm starting to wonder, right? Like, if this is the end result of having AI create circuits, right? Like actual physical circuits. I bet this is what's happening with the code, right? Like I bet the code's not catching fire, but I think this is metaphorically what's happening with the code. And this is why you can't rely on AI just yet. You can't rely on AI just yet. It's certainly not there. Like this is an AI produced result, literally on fire. So I think a lot of people are putting a little bit too much weight too early into AI. I mean, it's getting better very quickly, but it's still producing fires, like literal fires. Oh my God, that's incredible. That is so funny. Electrical engineers in shambles. Can't vibe circuit craft your way out of this one. Can't do that. That's great. One of the best quotes I've seen this past week is the Instagram generation now experiences the present as an anticipated memory, from Daniel Kahneman. This video really is tremendous. It's sad, right? Because like if you just let's turn off the audio for a second. If you just watch this guy, he's looking at the camera pointing to where the whale is because he knows it's doing things. And instead of watching the whale, he's watching the camera. And the whale is currently actively breaching. He's within 50 yards of a breaching whale. One of the most beautiful sights that you will have the opportunity to see natural, like just organically in nature. This is peak human life right here to experience and watch this in person, especially from a jet ski. And he's watching the camera the whole time. And he's watching the event behind him through the camera screen, like through his phone screen. He looks back, sees another breach, And instead of actually watching the set, he was gifted 2 opportunities to watch one of the most impressive things that happens in the natural world, and he's just staring at his phone. And the quote here is just the Instagram generation now experiences the present as an anticipated memory. You pull out your phone knowing that you're going to like to watch this or like to share it to your friends rather than actually see it. Yeah. I've definitely caught myself doing this once or twice, and that was not like that was a reflective moment. That's actually really sad, you know? That's actually really sad. But hey, at least the video is cool. Anyway, if you guys are in the chat, Fractal Vision, safer alternatives. Yeah, you were talking about the alcohol. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, Fractal. If you're still in the chat, what's up? Yeah, there really are just so many better alternatives. We're talking about like alcohol versus, I mean, I say that and like energy drink. But there are safer alternatives, right? Like just not drinking is even an alternative. Like just not drinking alcohol. Who knew? I don't really drink that much. Not a huge fan. This is one of, okay. Trump wants to take Greenland, and there's some good reasons for doing so. Here's one of them. If you look at a map, right? Like if you look at the globe of the world and you look at where Greenland sits between the US and Russia, which by the way are adversarial states, it is directly in between. And there is a real concern about possible missile strikes. I mean, there are few places better set up to put defenses than Greenland. There really are. There are like, I mean, where else are you going to put it? In the middle. There just boats? You put them on boats? You can put actual installations right here. Forget just Washington, D.C. We're talking about New York, the entire eastern seaboard. All these spots. I mean, it's a real missile defense. It's a real missile defense. Useful. What's English today, man? English. Greenland is genuinely a actual defensive plate. Like you. Oh. Guys, chat, my English today is just, it's just not feeling it. It's not feeling it. The words are coming out faster than I can think them. Oh, that's funny. Bro, we're not. Chris, that's a scam. That's funny. That's actually hilarious. Let's see. What was I saying? Let's get back on track here. Let's get back on track. Trump wants to buy Greenland, and for good reason, okay? As a missile defense platform territory, it's actually unbelievably well positioned. Here's Greenland on the 3D, topographical map. Not topographical. That's not accurate. Here's Greenland on a 3D map of the U.S. God damn it. It's the world. It's not just the U.S. It's the entire planet, okay? Anyway, here's Greenland on a 3D map of the world. And here are all the missile sites, or at least anticipated missile sites in Russia. And here's Washington, D.C. And when an ICBM, right, an intercontinental ballistic missile, needs to travel from Russia to the United States, it goes into space and then comes back down. And the fastest route to go into space and then come back down goes directly over the North Pole and then back into the United States. And we could say, like, oh, do we really need Greenland? Do we not? Is Russia really all that aggressive? Like, they're still stuck in Ukraine. Russia, for the past several hundred years, if not more, has had a long and just basically undeniable history that they like to expand. They like to go out and conquer. That is effectively their culture. And they've been doing so. They've been testing. They're testing with Ukraine. Every time that Russia has pushed hard on Ukraine, China, by the way, has also tested. I think on the day that they invaded Ukraine, on the day that Russia invaded Ukraine, or kind of around that timeline, China sent planes over Taiwan. Both China and Russia are very clearly testing their ability to play on the whole, I know it's 2026, but we still want to conquer new lands. They're down. They're clearly down to do so. It might not feel like that, right? Because since the 1940s, since World War II, the whole idea of conquering new lands isn't something that's really in the cultural zeitgeist. It's not really in something that people think about, right? Like people don't actually think about, oh, countries still conquer other countries. That's kind of a concept that we thought we left behind in at latest the 1700s, but no, it's still alive and definitely well. And they're definitely trying it in Russia with Ukraine and Crimea. And China wants to do it with Taiwan. So these countries, these actual superpowers, are looking to expand. And Greenland is a pretty effective place. If you want to talk about defense for against missiles, if you wanted to talk about defense against shipping lanes that are actively opening up, Greenland is genuinely a very useful territory. So there are actual, honestly, good reasons for the U.S. to want to have a piece of Greenland. Is it really green? I thought Iceland was green and Greenland is covered in ice. That's accurate, actually. I flew from Sweden to New York, okay? And when you fly from Sweden to New York, let's see, Sweden is here, right? Here. And when you fly, yeah, that's not Sweden. Sweden, I'm pretty sure. Wait a minute. I'm going to look like an idiot. Sweden. I have to make sure. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. Sweden is here. And if you fly from, because I was like, is this Sweden? No, this is Norway. If you fly from Sweden, so Stockholm's around here-ish. If you fly from there to New York, you fly on this like arc, right? That's roughly the arc you fly on. And you fly past, here's Reykjavik for Iceland, and here's Greenland, and here's New York. I flew past Reykjavik, and I saw some green. I mean, it was winter, so there's a lot of snow, but I saw some green here in Iceland. Greenland, when you fly over it, the plane was here, right, on the tip of Greenland, and I looked up. I looked north, and I saw Greenland because I was on the right side of the plane, and I looked out the window, and I saw Greenland. And I couldn't stop staring at it for 20 minutes straight because it is just miles and miles, literally as far as you could see and beyond, of just ice and snow and mountains and bumps, and it's all just white. As far as you could see, I could not see anything but snow and ice and these jagged mountains. And it was one of the most awe-inspiring, breathtaking landscapes I've ever. It's almost pristine. Of just white hills, bumps, valleys. That's it. That's Greenland. And it is remarkably valuable as a territory. It might not seem like it, but it is huge. And it is worth something. And we're going to talk about that. I actually have something I really want to talk about on that. Let me find that because I want to mention that today. Because it might even want to clip that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Did I not bookmark it? I definitely bookmarked it. Okay. Okay, sure. So take this account for what it's worth, right? It's called MAGA News. Commentary account, like who knows? But I've seen enough talk about this that I do want to mention it. There are now reports, whether or not they're accurate, I just want to give it an actual opinion on them. There are now supposedly reports that the U.S. may actually be considering making a massive offer, like multiple hundreds of billions of dollars in cash offer to buy Greenland outright from Denmark. And whether or not these reports are accurate, there are protests, right? There are people that are saying like Greenland is not for sale and whatnot. Here's the thing that's kind of interesting. They want to, the United States apparently, supposedly, again, this is MAGA news, so don't know if you could take this account super seriously, but I've seen others say somewhat likewise. A staggering $700 billion cash offer to buy Greenland outright from Denmark, plus $100,000 lump sum payments to each of its 57,000 residents, totaling nearly $706 billion. One, $700 billion for Greenland kind of sounds like a steal. Two, $6 billion to the residents of Greenland. Let me just say something here. If you are a resident of Greenland and you are looking $100,000 from a government to just say, okay, and you don't take that, this is the most value a government may have ever given its citizens, period, right? Or at least its potential citizens, period. I don't think any government has ever given anyone $100,000 of value directly outside of corporations or whatever. Like this is, hey, if you live here, you're getting $100,000. You're going to turn that down? And on top of that, dude, imagine this, right? Puerto Rico was given plenty of opportunities to vote itself into being a state, into being part of the United States officially. It is a United States territory. It did not vote to become a U.S. state. And part of the reason is because they don't have to pay federal income taxes. They don't have to pay federal taxes. It is a tax haven. It is like one of the tax cheat codes of the United States is Puerto Rico. A lot of people are like, oh, just go to Dubai. Just go to Dubai. You can't go to Dubai because if you have an American citizenship, if you have an American passport, you are paying American taxes, even if you are in a tax haven such as Dubai. So one of the only actual ways to have a tax haven is to go to Puerto Rico. Imagine if the Greenlanders get a tax haven. Imagine if Greenland is Puerto Rico 2.0 when it comes to taxes. So not only is America giving you $100,000 individually for you, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, you're all getting $100,000 hands-free just for saying, okay, sounds good. And maybe you end up with a situation where you don't have to pay taxes. And you have the full American military now supporting you. I mean, is that not one of the best deals in the history of deals? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If this deal is honest, if this deal is a real, if this reporting, take it for what you will, it is MAGA news, so who knows how accurate it is. But if that's accurate, that is maybe one of the single best deals that a government has given any single citizen of any nation, maybe, period. And it's giving it to 57,000 residents. What is Denmark doing that's so special? I mean, is Denmark kind of just a vibe? What's the reason? What's the reason that you'd want to stay part of Denmark? Because there's no way it's a better deal than this. And I mean, hey, I look, it's beautiful. I would go there. Look how nice it looks. Let's see. 27 chat. Wait, what? No shot. Really? Polymarket is putting a Trump and Greenland deal signed by March 31st at 26% chance? Really? It's actually it's considered that likely? I mean, I would put it at no. I think that this is pretty free money at no. Because March 31st is pretty short. We're talking about within 60 days, practically 80 days. But 26% chance that within 60 to 70 days, we get a Trump Greenland deal is crazy, crazy odds. And this is not a small amount of volume. This is actually a participated in market. I think Trump is genuinely serious. And this is not some random news. This is not out of nowhere. This has been something that's been in the news for the better part of the last 5 to 10 years, if you've actually been paying attention. And it's not like Greenland doesn't have actual genuine value to the United States. It has genuine resource, defense, and otherwise just expansion of territory value to the United States. It's genuine. It's not made up. It's not some vanity project for Trump. It actually is valuable. It may also be a vanity project by Trump that he will get to say, I bought Greenland. Kind of in the same way that they have like Seward's Folly turned out to be one of the greatest buys of all time, right? Like buying Alaska, the Alaska Purchase, the Louisiana Purchase, huge bit, huge stuff that ended up shaping America for centuries to come in genuinely highly beneficial ways. Imagine if we didn't have Alaska during the Cold War. Imagine. That's huge. Greenland is pretty valuable. $700 billion, not that much. Not that much anymore, right? Like, 700 billion is not as big as it sounded previously. That's a couple banks. And you end up with Greenland and all of the natural resources and the defense. I mean, there's something there. It's not green though. It's not green. What else we got? GameStop issued an That's crazy. GameStop had a really serious problem where they had an actual infinite money glitch. So apparently, YouTuber RJC Media went to GameStop, bought a Nintendo Switch for $415, $415, and then he did this trade back where he automatically was credited $472, just basically making $60 out of nowhere. So there was actually a narrow window where you could genuinely execute a free money glitch at GameStop, which is, by the way, incredible technology. GameStop has since, quote, patched the glitch. GameStop has since patched the glitch, which is a hilarious terminology. I mean, whoever is on the GameStop socials as of the last 2 months, goated run. GameStop remains committed to offering promotions that reward our customers. I mean, let's just be real. That's not accurate, right? Like every single time I've gone to GameStop and traded in a pre-owned game that I paid $60 for, I got 18 cents. But sure, thanks. And while we applaud the creativity, we gently remind everyone that our stores are not designed to function as infinite money printers. Fair. Fair game, though, GameStop. Fair game. Touche. That's hilarious. That's very funny. Yeah, this stuff kind of enrages me. So there has been increasing conversation around this guy called Clavicular, all right? People are talking about him nonstop, and at least on my feed, I can't stand the guy. To be honest, I'm really just over and done with it. Here, Clavicular got mugged by another Looksmaxer, and his cortisol levels went through the moon. My God, dude, like this is just some of the worst. You know, kids used to wake up and want to be astronauts and firefighters and policemen, and now they want to Looksmax and be Clavicular. And
I don't give a shit.
What are you high off, coke?
I'm high off fucking ketamine.
how do people like this stuff? Like, it's garbage. If I found my kid watching Clavicular, I might destroy the phone, like, or whatever they're watching it on. I might be totally done. Like, this is ridiculous. This guy is actually ridiculous. I'm high off ketamine. All right, bro. What a bizarre individual. People like this guy? Like, anyone actually likes this guy or finds him even a slightest bit entertaining? It's like streamers have gotten so much progressively worse. You have on one hand, you have the Speeds and the Kai Cenats of the world, and they're actually entertaining and they're fun and they have seemingly good intentions. And then there's a whole other sector of Twitch streamers, Kick streamers, etc., where it's just disgusting vitriol. It's horrible. I don't know how anyone listens to this. I mean, he even had this opinion, which was just, I couldn't even watch it. Let me find it. Where was it? I replied. I put some replies on it. Hold on. I'm finding it. Finding it. Okay.
The only dinner a woman will ever go to with me is when I'm meeting other men, but like a one-on-one dinner with a girl is a mistake and a waste of fucking time and money.
3 hours of fucking garbage.
Let me tell you what a dinner with me and a woman looks like. Woman sits next to me, looks hot, the other men at the table respect that, and we talk about business, and I genuinely ignore her the whole time.
How is this even remotely acceptable? Like, none of this isn't interesting content. It's not entertaining. It's just two guys being like, women are terrible, women are trash. Like, this is disgusting. These people are not interesting. They're just spewing. Literally, it's just like, how do I say it? How do I explain this? It's uninteresting content. The concepts are just basic incel trash. Like, this stuff has been repeated on the internet for basically decades at this point. And you can even see it in the body language. Watch this, right? He's like,
and a waste of fucking time and money.
3 hours of fucking garbage.
See, the way that he's answering this is he has nothing new. He doesn't have anything interesting to say on this. All he's saying, in his mind, he's like, how do I agree? How do I show that I'm interested in what he's saying, what he's talking about, and also agree with him, and also just add something to hate on women because I can? And this is actually the role model for a shocking number of our youth. Like, what is this? What is this garbage? What the garbage is you. Like, bro. Man's never been on a good 3-hour date with a woman. Like, never? Never? I don't know, man. Going on a 3-hour date with a girl you've actually find interesting and having a conversation that's pleasant is fun, believe it or not. It's not 3 hours of garbage. It's a good time. And, oh, by the way, good for you. What a like, this is crazy. This is actually absurd. This guy actually drives me insane. This clavicular guy drives me insane. I'm not a fan. Not a fan, to say the least. And you know what? He got banned out of every club in Miami this past weekend, which is gotta be, he's not letting it on, but it's gotta be tremendously damning to his own ego that he can't go to live. He can't go to Space. And fairness, Space is unbelievable. Like, Space is a phenomenal club in Miami. I am happy. Like, this guy, I can't watch this. I mean,
I don't take this as a dinner. The only dinner a woman will ever go to with me is when I'm meeting other men, but like a one-on-one dinner with a girl.
Bro has never enjoyed a dinner date with a girl. Like,
it's a mistake. And
it's not a mistake.
Time and money.
3 hours of fucking garbage.
It's a waste of how much are you spending? What's the most a date cost? Like $250? As a guy, you can't afford $250 date with a woman for 3 hours. Are we being serious, people? Is that Flo?
Yo.
Oh my goodness. What's up, Flo?
Not too much.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of just absolutely slamming clavicular. I hate this guy.
It's cool. I'm just getting wrecked in the order books, so.
Oh, great. All right, cool. All right, do you want to... We got like 10 more minutes here, 15 more minutes. So you want to get into your post? I'm curious.
I mean, what part of it? I mean, it's just how I see things right now. I think that
I want to do a speed run through it if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, getting into macro stuff, right?
Did I not?
Growth is still positive in the economy.
Wait. It's not up yet. Hold on.
Hey.
Hold on, I'm finding it. All right. So I found it. So I'm gonna sprint through this. Flo is, in my opinion, one of the best, we'll say, macro traders that Twitter has to offer. At least his opinion, maybe his, how do I say this? Flo's opinions on macro are some of the most insightful. I don't know how good his trading is, but his opinions themselves are fantastically insightful.
Very unprofitable, very poor.
So let me just run through this post okay? And the last time that I didn't follow you, I wished I did. You said growth is positive and consumer spending is still strong, but skewed to high-income earners. Inflation risk is muted. Net effects of tariffs are unclear. Credit is not stressed, even with yields at cycle highs. Labor is weak at the margin, but productivity is rising, which is positive for growth without being inflationary. Real rates are still restrictive, but are also likely near a short-term peak. Market is likely underpricing easing. Interesting. Forwards pricing in less than 2 cuts despite softening labor and lower inflation risk. Japan is a ticking time bomb for liquidity. Interesting. Yields rising and the yen weakening support higher assets prices
Make
in the
sure to
short
take a breath,
term, but is fragile if there are any policy shift from the Fed or the BOJ. Let's see. Equity valuations at historically high multiples, that's for sure, but could become even more extreme. Macro conditions are biased towards higher prices for precious metals in the short term, with a lot of volatility and sharp drawdowns on the way due to the mentioned fragile state of liquidity. And oil is somewhat of a wild card with a lot of structural supply overhang, but very susceptible to geopolitical shocks that could also affect inflation and broader liquidity conditions. And your prediction on top of all of this is that tactically bullish everything short to medium term. Metals up, stocks up, even bonds up. Trump will crime every asset on the planet up this year into the midterms. All right, explain
Yeah, I
yourself.
mean, no lies detected. That guy sounds like knows what he's talking about.
All right, so like what's actually happening here? One, I want to just point to something. Growth is positive and consumer spending is still strong. Yeah. Inflation risk, it has been muted. It's not as severe as it used to be, but it's also, not at the ground, but it's like the inflation fear is a little bit more calm. Credit isn't
Yeah,
stressed.
I
Fair.
mean, the thing about productivity is kind of one of the important, like, productivity has been rising.
Mhm.
So that's with the soft labor market. So if you have rising productivity, which means you're getting more out of each worker, then basically you can have this heightened productivity and not necessarily get inflation because you're not having more people entering the workforce, more people getting paychecks, more people spending money in the economy. It's just more people doing more work or being more productive for essentially the same wages in a way. So it's been very positive for the economy, not necessarily for the average or bottom, kind of like bottom bracket worker.
Sure.
But the consumer's still strong and they're still spending. But it's just led by, I think it's like 40 plus 45% of it is led by 10% of earners. So
Really.
all the high net worth tech and finance bros are carrying the entire economy right now, essentially.
Literally. It's just like, and then you'll listen to a podcast, you'll listen to the Up Only podcast, and David Sachs is like, well, uh, in basically half of US GDP growth is just led by AI, like AI companies,
Yeah, a lot of
which is
capex.
great for the people involved in AI and AI infra and all of that. Not great for anyone who's not involved in any of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main things about this economy right now. Any way you look at it is that there's winners and there's losers. If you're smart, you're not fighting the flows. You're just kind of watching what the administration has been doing over the last couple of years, and they've been pretty vocal about the winners that they're picking. For example,
Those winners.
Intel was nothing. Nobody would have picked Intel for anything a few years ago, but Intel was a picked winner by the Trump administration. To take a stake in and to kind of build up into a domestic, semiconductor producer. So it's
Powerhouse.
like
Yep.
you look for those
Out of
types of things.
Arizona.
You go all in, or you go as deep as you can on those plays where you're essentially betting on somewhat the Chinification of the United States, right? Growth
The
being led.
Chinification of the United States.
I mean, it's they essentially liberalized, they like Americanized, their markets over time, and that's what kind of allowed them to go from just this, production economy to now they're trying to become a consumption-based economy at this point. So,
Ooh.
we're somewhat having to work in the opposite direction to move back towards more of a production-based economy. So, in a sense, there's going to be a lot of state-led investment, state-led production and manufacturing that's going to, again, those are going to be your winners over the next few years to 10 years potentially, depending on the next elections, where you're going to want to place your money.
So to highlight some of these, one, real rates are restrictive, but they're also likely near a short-term peak. Explain this one to me. Market is likely underpricing easing.
So if you're looking at what's priced into the curve, or if you're looking at just on a simple level rate expectations like Fed Watch, there's only or less than two cuts. I think it's like 47 basis points, or at least last time I checked, that were priced in I mean, if inflation continues to fall, labor continues to be softening, then it's likely that we're looking at more easing. Especially, there's going to be a new Fed chair coming in once Powell's out. That's going to be,
Do
tilting
you
dovish
expect
just because
that
they're.
soon? Do you expect
Um,
Powell to be out soon?
yeah, I think it's in Q2, like beginning of Q2, somewhere around there. I don't. The
He's not
exact
going to be
date's
out
not coming
before
to me right
then,
now, but
right?
what's that?
He's not going to be out. Trump is not going to be successful in kicking him out before then.
I mean, we'll see what ends up happening. He's going to probably step down. He's going to not be chairman anymore, but he's probably still going to be on the
Board
FOMC kind of board or committee. So, he will likely still have a large amount of influence on the committee, but the new pick is going to be more inclined to, you know, go with the
push for
policies that
lower
Trump is
rates.
promoting.
Yep.
I mean, there's just kind of a new doctrine, a new sheriff in town, if you will, where
That you go along with the rough Trump
I
principle
mean, it's just
or
that the executive should have more of a say in
yeah.
monetary policy and a number of other things that I mean, if we're looking back historically, not to get overly political, but the power of the executive has actually been stripped away over time
Yep.
through probably after Nixon, maybe rightfully so, but the executive throughout history has had a large amount of power that was largely clawed away, and it's really just a matter of this administration clawing back a lot of those powers and utilizing a lot of them that haven't in the past. So I mean, they've been doing all this for over a year now. We've seen that regardless of kind of certain sectors of the economy not doing very well, that ultimately equity value, basically the economy is still going. We're seeing pretty good growth. Like I mentioned, kind of in the first line there. High GDP growth. Inflation is moving back towards targets. Tariffs haven't seemed overly inflationary. Arguably they're part of what's actually helping with inflation by tampering down on consumption in areas where there's kind of supply chain bottlenecks.
Yeah, do you think tariffs are working
It depends what you mean by working, right? I mean, they're
for their intended purpose? Are they actually generating serious income for the US without causing massive increase in pricing for consumers?
yeah, I think that they are accomplishing that, and that it's not necessarily been the best for maybe a lot of companies. Ultimately, it does end up being somewhat of a tax, in some ways. But ultimately we are collecting revenue off it. That revenue, will be used towards potentially other things that are productive and create growth in our own economy. And it has largely, um, again, kind of tamped down, I believe, on inflation and on consumption in a way that's actually bringing rates back down closer to target, which will allow the credit cycle to start up again. So, the credit cycle is more likely to start up when rates are at cyclical lows. So the faster we can get these rates down, the faster the credit cycle can get started, and the faster that we can actually get some real growth again in the economy. So I kind of still am in the opinion that they're going to be able to rig it all up somehow, and just like they have the last year. Because I mean, it's obviously been fragile. There's been a lot of like sharp
Right.
drawdowns. Crypto hasn't been doing the best, but ultimately, the economy is still moving, humming. Nothing's breaking down yet. Numbers are still looking good in many ways. Yeah, I think it's still looking good. Maybe in the short term we have more of this just tariff scare, liberation day style stuff. But
Mm.
I think ultimately we know how that turned out, right? Everybody panicked, everybody was afraid, and the market made all time
Was a
highs like
nothing
30 more
burger.
times
Yep.
over the next year, right?
I love
Um,
the crow that's in your background, by the way. That thing is electric.
but yeah, so I could see a drawdown here. I would just say be prepared for volatility. The market is going to be fragile on the way up. There's going to be lots of sharp drawdowns like we've seen in the last couple of years, but ultimately flows are saying that you should still kind of be somewhat looking to take on risk over the next year. I think that politically, as far as political will goes, that they're going to do everything that they can in order to make it a very positive consumer sentiment, investor sentiment type of year. So you're really just betting on whether they can accomplish that. It's somewhat like you're a VC right now for the United States, right? You're betting on founders. So it's are you going to bet on this new administration in order and let's say Besant and this whole economic team to be able to do what they're saying or not? Are you going to invest in the United States at this kind of turning point? The series A, like Ostium just raised, are you gonna double down, or are are you going to pivot your investments away from the United States? And I think
Right. Which let me just say real quick. What's up, Mr. House? Good to see you in the chat, and also good to see you, Alan, in the chat. Flo does know his stuff. Law degree is coming along. Give me like 8 months. I'll be a lawyer in about 8 to 10 months, ballpark, assuming I pass the bar. I also want you to explain this to me. You said Japan is a ticking time bomb for liquidity, yields rising, and the yen weakening supports higher assets prices in the short term, but is fragile if there are any policy shift away from the Fed or BOJ.
I mean, they're
What does that
experiencing a
mean?
lot of capital outflows. Their bond market is blowing up essentially right now. The yen is nuking, so it's just a matter of, are they going to allow this to continue, and are they just going to allow the market to clear this event, which, or are they going to change policy, or are
With
they going
what
to start
happens?
hiking, start
'Cause
tightening
I
monetary
don't.
policy?
A lot of people don't really understand Japanese policy and how important it is or isn't. So what's going on here?
I mean, really, Japan is just a testing ground for, I think, just the world's monetary policy. It's an experiment, with yield curve control, and just how far you can, kind of financialize and manipulate the markets and without things breaking. So again, I can't even tell you for sure. I don't think anybody can what they're going to do right now. It seems like they're willing to kind of just let the market clear it, let things continue to spiral. But they have been talking about, again, hiking rates and starting to
Mm.
tighten policy in order to kind of, again, strengthen the yen, um, and kind of stop some of this. And if that does happen, then the carry, the whole carry trade thing comes back, and you could see just a reduction of liquidity, overall global liquidity. So again, things are very fragile. They were, again, but they were so last year, um, and we still managed to crime things up, right? So
Now, all right. So I want to get to your. I actually want to talk about this, and I'll get to the prediction. Equity valuations at historically high multiples, but could become even more extreme. Totally agree with you.
I
Like, this
mean,
is one of
again,
the
yeah, just
things. Yeah, like
price to, I think we're looking at like price to sales on some sectors, like price to earnings, where it's just, yeah, I mean, we're at
on
higher
Palantir
than
in particular.
2021. We're
Yeah.
say higher than 2021 valuations right now, in some ways, betting on a lot of growth. And again, that might happen. Looking at GDP growth now, who's to say that won't be accomplished? But we are pricing in a lot of growth right now. Um, but again, that could become more extreme if we start pricing in more growth. Um, it could always get crazier, I
Yeah,
would say.
I remember there was a quote where it was like in 1996, I think one of the Fed chairs got on stage and said, "Yeah, it looks like equity prices are really, really high right now," and they didn't go down for another 2 to 3 years. Like they just kept going up.
Yeah, it can get really ridiculous. I mean, because the thing is, it's not only about just absolute amount of capital, absolute amount of flows, but ultimately it's about allocation. Like,
Mhm.
everything could be reallocated to where, you see all-time highs, you see crazy extremes in certain areas without, let's say, just net liquidity in the entire system rising. It's just a matter of things
Gotcha. Money
moving
moving
around
from
cross
X to
border
Y.
based on
Yeah.
just rate differentials, trade agreements. Like, there's a lot of cross border just flows and activity that it's basically, it's a way different environment. I know that we talked about this a lot, like just on CT, and just in general, about how things had changed. The market had really changed, over the last few years. But I think now is the time when it actually really is in the Trump administration. We'll see if it continues over multiple administrations, but right now we're in the midst of just the economic consensus, just the entire kind of like world, just trading apparatus being rearranged in ways that is causing a lot of different cross-border flows. Like FX is really interesting again. You have a lot of interest in metals. Silver hitting what, all of almost 100.
Gold is
You have
hitting brand
gold
new
hitting
all-time highs.
4,700
Silver
plus.
is getting all the all-time highs. Yep.
Copper, hitting all-time
Copper.
highs. It's
Is
just it's
copper the
a
buy? Is copper the buy right now?
Copper. I mean, I would say yes, but Chamath has
Dude,
recently
I was gonna
said
bring
that
that
he's
up.
super bullish in copper.
Yeah,
So
hold on. Let's bring this up. So Chamath here.
is he
I
just
will
trying to
pick
get out of his
copper.
position now? You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Copper. We are still completely underestimating how short we are in terms of the global demand supply dynamics of a handful of critical elements that we need. Again, in the Trump doctrine view of the world, that is no longer as multilateral as it was, and we need to have unilateral national security. And if you look through that lens, the asset that is set up to go absolutely parabolic
Buy my
is copper.
copper.
And the reason is that it is,
Right, buy my bags.
at least as it stands today.
Actually, you know, the reason why I don't really trust Chamath on this stuff anymore is because I remember when he had Elon Musk on maybe like 6 months ago. He asked Elon, he was like, Elon, don't you think that nuclear is kind of the future? Like, isn't there a huge opportunity for nuclear power and that sector is really set to grow? And then Elon was like, yeah, no, I mean, they're nice science experiments, but really they're not set up to really handle the power load that we need. And then he kind of went quiet on it. And then like 2 weeks ago, he was like, yeah, nuclear power is just not worth it. Like Chamath was just like, yeah, nuclear is not about it. I would kind of say it's kind of overblown, not really the
I mean, these
vibe.
guys are what you might call sycophants or
Yeah.
sycophants, whatever it is. Like they kind of at this point, like I think they pretty much sold out. Like they pretty much just say whatever Elon Musk or Trump say at this point, which
And are just trying to sell off their
I
own
agree
bags.
with a lot of the policies too, but at the same time, like it just seems like rather than when they disagree, they'll disagree. It seems like they'll just rationalize. A lot of the time, they're just like instead of I disagree with this, like let me rationalize why I was wrong and why this is
Yes.
right, even though like I don't
Oh
really
my
believe
god,
that, you
dude.
know?
That clip was from the prediction show. I was listening to the prediction show and they were like, "Actually, I wasn't wrong and here's why." And they said that maybe 10 times. And it's like,
Yeah.
but
I think they're captured at this point. Like again, I'm a fan of a lot of the policies too. Like I think that this is a necessary realignment for the U.S. economy and just maybe the global economy. But yeah, I mean, when I see a policy that it doesn't make any sense to me, I'm not going to rationalize it away just by the fact is, oh, this guy must be smarter. They must know more than me, so I must be wrong. It's like no, sometimes smart people or people you agree with can also just do stupid stuff. So
or be bought. You did say here your prediction for the coming market is that you are tactically bullish everything, short to medium term, metals up, stocks up, and even bonds up. Trump will crime every asset on the planet up this year into midterms.
I mean, like everything the cross border flows I'm talking about with Japan. Just in general, what's happening with all the growth in the United States, with it looks like the credit cycle, kind of like picking up again, liquidity rising. Yeah, I mean that all says metals up, stocks up again, and bonds up is based off of just the fact is this will happen in an environment where inflation is falling. So I think that ultimately, after kind of all of the volatility works its way out in the bond market, that ultimately we're going to see, bonds have made a top this year and see them, falling. I mean, sorry, and rates have made a top this year and see them falling, and bonds start to, recover from here. So that's just what I'm seeing here. Obviously, one of the things about being a trader, one of the things about especially in macro and in this political environment, things can change very quickly. Um, but ultimately, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing what's happening right now is a flush. Um, again, liquidity is rising. Credit cycle looks like it's restarting. But I mean, price action is the best reason to be bearish in some ways, right? But ultimately, from a fundamental standpoint, once this works its way out of price, I think that ultimately it'll be bullish. So
Well, I'm not going to hold
short to
you.
medium term is like, many people might be saying like, oh, this is probably a couple days, but short to medium term realistically is like we're looking at over the next year, right?
Mm. Well, so I'm not going to hold you to it, but give me some numbers. I want some predictions. Give me some ranges.
Oh my god, dude, kill yourself. Um, on what assets? Like, what are we talking about here?
Let's go. Let's just go let's go indices or big ones, right? Like give me some prediction. Give me a prediction on like for example Bitcoin. Like what do you think is the bottom of Bitcoin? You
I
didn't
think
mention
Bitcoin
crypto
could
here.
still see upper 70s to, I mean, even at the low, like the lowest, mid 50s to mid 60s. But I think
I could
72K
see
is a
that
good
too.
target. Or 72, 74K is a good target for lows. I think that we could absolutely, again, in a rising liquidity environment, rising growth environment, credit cycles picking up again, we could start to see, dramatic new all-time highs in liquidity sensitive assets like Bitcoin. Um, again, like this could be a later in the year type thing. We could have some weakness to, work out here that'll provide some good buying opportunities. But, these are the times where you're getting those, if this actually plays out, this is when you're getting those memes like where, Kobe's saying the easy path is to 250K, right? Like in,
This
in
is
a
where you
in a
get the
real
easy
credit
path.
cycle, like rising environment, like Bitcoin made it to what 125K in a high rate kind of weak credit cycle environment. Like, we haven't seen really another credit environment like 2021, even though valuations are at all time high. Like it could absolutely get way crazier from here. Like, we could be looking at the 2020 before the 21, or, just like basically the kind of just really the period before the blow off top ultimately, um, at this point. So
I'm looking at the Nasdaq at $23,000 approximately, sitting near all time highs, if not effectively at all time highs. And you think it's going to go significantly higher than this
I mean,
over
it's
the
going to
course of the
be
next year?
volatile. There's going to be a lot of flushes. There's going to be quite a few flushes and drawdowns. Just again, liquidity is in a fragile state, even though flows are going to be supporting higher prices. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I think you get much crazier. Nobody would have thought, that. I mean, really, that we were going to see SPX at 7,000. Pretty much last year, and into this year. Um, Nobody would have thought that we were going to hit the valuations that we did in 2021. And I ultimately just think that the environment that we have now is unlike any that we've seen outside of probably the 80s.
Mm.
The late 80s, into where we could just see like a very very large kind of growth in the United States like we haven't seen in a long time. I think it could be. A lot of people are getting bearish on the United States. I'm getting more and more bullish on the United States, right? I think it could be a very, very productive period for us over the next 5 to 10 years, honestly.
It's funny because I'm bullish on the US, and I'm just bullish mid to long term. The only problem is I do kind of subscribe to the 4-year cycle, and I subscribe to the 4-year cycle being more expansive than just Bitcoin. And the 4-year cycle says that we probably got another 6 to 9 months of pain. That's one of my only problems.
Yeah, I mean, again, possible for Bitcoin especially, but the thing about it is, like I said, it's not just a matter of absolute liquidity. In many ways, like if you were to look at, a lot of my favorite measures of liquidity, it's been down only for months already, right? So it's just
Mm.
been a more of a fact of cross-border flows, but like actual liquidity, like actually, the liquidity cycle, which is like kind of the more broad thing that I like to look at outside of just the 4-year cycle, or the crypto, just liquidity cycle. Um, it peaked already months ago. I think it was like honestly May of last year. So it's like arguably, depending on how you look at things, we were working our way through like a liquidity kind of drawdown and kind of just silent recession throughout a lot of last year. Even though we were seeing assets at all time highs, there was still the actual economy, in especially just in certain sectors, was actually somewhat in a recession. Liquidity had been drawing down.
Mhm.
So it's just depending on what you're looking at, to be quite honest with you. And I think that it's possible that we were in just a kind of a silent bear market, silent recession over the last few months here.
The last thing I want to ask you about, great follow-up post. Was about to long some crypto, then realized I could long literally anything else instead.
Yeah, I mean, legitimately. And then look what happened. Like less than an hour later, it fucking, you know what I mean? It
Oh,
actually just yeah, actually nuked.
Bitcoin, it
Like
nuked.
right after that, another
Yeah,
1,000
why?
plus
Like,
points, right?
what do we think about that? Like, do we? Is that is that as long term of a concern as people have been seemingly implying? That
Well,
like,
here it kind
is
of fits what I
Bitcoin
was saying,
actually
right? Is
cooked
that
compared to equities?
it kind of fits what I was saying, right? Is that there's a lot of other stuff going on right now. It's not just a matter of absolute liquidity. So crypto, Bitcoin has done great when there's just like excess liquidity floating around, like that wanted yield. Like, there wasn't, the economy was just like stably growing at, kind of a set rate. There's a lot of money just like looking for, ways to get yield. That's was kind of Bitcoin's original, why it pumped in 2017, why it pumped into kind of, I guess, 2 cycles ago, or was it 2 or 3, whatever it was. And then it kind of transformed into this macro asset where now is being allocated by a bunch of like sovereigns. But ultimately, it's very, very sensitive to just excess liquidity in the system seeking yield.
Hmm.
Right now, I mean, you can invest in a lot of other shit, right? There's money flowing into a lot of other things, including just like foreign equities, gold, silver. Um, there's businesses being built in all these places like rare earth metals, building out new supply chains, reshoring. And I kind of talked about this actually, for the last couple of years, is that in a world where there's a lot of other things to do with your money, when you can earn a significant return, including AI, for example, then it makes the hurdle rate for owning crypto higher. Like if I can invest in OpenAI or Anthropic, wherever the fuck, and made a massive return, let's just say a 500% return in a year, then the hurdle for me to invest in anything else is like much higher. So it's like if I'm not going to get 400% out of Bitcoin, then I might as well just invest in another AI play instead of
And hope
Bitcoin,
it
right?
implements the same,
So
right?
it's just there's options now, right? So I think that again, Bitcoin will see its day, but it's going to be in a time where that money has somewhat figured out where it's going, and it's just now there's like again excess yield being searched for, because again right now there's a lot of other stuff to do with your money. If you want to spend your money, if you want to invest your money, there's a lot of other stuff to do with it. Um, and we'll see how that kind of changes. Bitcoin still hasn't really proven itself as a macro kind of safe haven asset. It's not doing gold. You know what I mean? It's not central banks aren't buying. You know what I'm saying? So until that narrative could find itself being true one day, but it's not now. It's just excess liquidity, which like I said, liquidity has actually been dropping. Just liquidity has been dropping for months now, since mid last year, early to mid last year. So it's more so just been a matter of allocation and things being just basically diversification and people allocating into different things as opposed to liquidity rising, which is when Bitcoin does the best.
All-time post from Rain, though, that when BTC, if, in my opinion, when Bitcoin goes below $75,000, it will cause crash outs you can't even imagine.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. So it's like looking at it's like called other deposits. Like essentially just a way to look at it is it's not measuring full systemic liquidity, but it's measuring the liquidity that makes its way to the bank, to like bank balance sheets. And the peak essentially was in April, essentially around Liberation Day, April 2025. So I mean, liquidity in this system has been essentially has been down only um, all the way since April of last year up until um, it kind of bounced, around December, January,
Is
and it's
that
kind of
this?
like kind of like breaking out of a range that hasn't broken out of all the way since, let's say, like
Wait,
around
is that this
September
chart?
or October of 2025.
Or where am I looking? Is this it?
Look up other deposits in depository institutions.
Other
It's a mouthful, but
deposits in depository institutions.
right, right. A lot of people look at like M2, a lot of people look at other stuff that's just kind of like broad liquidity, but this is essentially liquidity that makes it to bank balance sheets, that's available to essentially for lending, etc.
Okay. So in April, this was hitting all-time highs, and ever since, especially since July, it's just been on a serious downtrend.
Right, right.
Okay. And this is basically free capital.
And I mean, if you were to look really when kind of when it made those lows, like when it really broke down, that's when you kind of saw, crypto kind of start to shit
Implode.
itself too, to be honest with you.
Interesting. This is an interesting chart. Look at you with the alfalfa.
There's a couple. I mean, Fred is underutilized. The government Fed data is underutilized.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
Another one that's fun to look at is just the broad dollar index, because everybody likes to talk about the death of the dollar, DXY, and how the dollar is kind of at lows. But I think that might be it. No, that's not it. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Let me just see if there's also any bookmarks I want to sprint through. Before I close this one out after this.
Or is that it? Let me see. Oh yeah, look at the max. Just if you look at the max, for example.
What max? Okay.
So it's like, again, like realistically, it's not doing great now. But if you're looking at it just like what it's doing from a historical
How it's
basis,
been over the
like
last 20 years, it's doing
yeah, I
phenomenal.
mean it's at
Mhm.
it's like at range lows, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's gonna break down and we're just gonna see the dollar go all the way back down to 2010 levels. Possible. But ultimately the dollar is at like is just still a historical extreme like strength compared to a lot of other foreign currencies. The DXY is heavily just weighted towards the euro in particular, so that's why it looks more weak, just because people are fucking dumb and they think Europeans are going to build anything. So
Well, they did bring in a new EU ink. They're trying that.
I mean, that's another
Actually,
one of my posts from earlier is basically, any money invested in Europe is essentially just a round trip ticket. It's, you go over, the money's going to go over there. It's going to, go over there on vacation, figure out there's nothing to fucking do there and then come back and be reinvested in the United States in productive industries. So,
well, here I want to go through two more bookmarks with you, Flo, because I think you might find these interesting. All right. Straight out of the World Economic Forum, French President Macron with
I like his glasses. I'm not
with
going to lie.
insane
I'm not gonna lie.
1970s. Look at these aviators. Look at that. The guy is rizzed out, like absolutely dripped, like nobody's business.
I
Says
can't lie.
we need more Chinese direct investment in Europe in some key sectors. It's a 25-second clip. Let's listen to it.
China is welcome, but what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe in some key sectors to contribute to our growth, to transfer some technologies, and not just to export towards Europe some devices or products which sometimes don't have the same standards or are much more subsidized as the one being produced in Europe.
They want more Chinese investment in Europe. Are we? They clearly want to counter the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that the United States is actually one of the few people. Like, again, I'm obviously very pro-American. I think that we're one of the only people who actually have their heads on straight right now. I think that these international organizations have been breaking down for some time. They've been used kind of in unilateral ways to, again, for control of other countries. This kind of like was always a temporary state of affairs. I think that countries have always been self-interested and will always do what's best for their own countries, and all the rest of it is just kind of BSing in politics. So I think that again, we're one of the only people being upfront and actually reorganizing ourselves for this new status quo. Whereas again, like I feel like that a lot of Europe is essentially clinging to a dying world, to a dying order, which it wouldn't be the first time that they did. It's Europe. So
That's hilarious. And then I also wanted to go over this one. Macron says European competitiveness still lags behind that of the US, and in the current global order, facing precisely the Chinese approach, we have to react. Again, with the the fact that he put on these aviators, man.
I mean, he's kind of saying what I just said is like the US and basically is taking somewhat of the Chinese approach. Like the current global order is we essentially what happened is that we found out in the order that the post World War II order that we had created, it benefited us for a very long time, and essentially China figured out a way to weaponize it against us.
Yeah.
So it's either we essentially ceded dominance, being the hegemon to ourselves out into them over time, or we upend this order and change things in order to retake dominance. And it's unfortunate, but this is kind of just the state of the world, right?
The last clip that I want to get into. This one's unbelievable. It's a 12-second clip. Reporter asked Scott Bessent if Europe has any financial weapons against the U.S. Here's what he had to say.
Just to follow into that, so you do not believe that the EU or the UK have any retaliatory financial instruments or measures in their bag that the United States should be worried about?
No. No.
No.
I mean, they sell, again, it's luxury. Again, like what does Europe sell to us? Again, they have cars to some degree, but again, that's kind of their car industry has not been doing that well. Very in the last couple decades. They have chemicals, which again, their chemical industry has been overtaken. All these things have been overtaken by China, Japan, just like competitors. Like for Germany, France produces, I guess, a lot of defense, a lot of weapons.
But we
but
don't
it's
buy
ultimately
those.
what do
Those
most of
mainly
the
stay in
stuff
the
they
Euro.
sell us is
Yeah.
luxury goods.
Yeah.
Stuff that we don't necessarily need. Versus we sell them essential services and essential goods. So it's it's all somewhat just saber rattling in many ways. I think ultimately the United States has most of the leverage. We have geographical supremacy. Essentially, whether people like it or not, we control the Western Hemisphere. and that'll be more direct, it looks like, over the next few years if we're taking what's happening with Venezuela and Greenland and everything in Canada even seriously. So it's again, I'm not, I hate to be like that guy or a dick, but it's just the world has always been kind of run by these rules, and everything else has been a facade um, that has been used to kind of like manipulate things, mostly in the United States' favor. But what really happened is that if you look at the UN, if you look at these international organizations, they started actually being used against the United States.
Mm.
And as soon as that started happening, we decided they didn't serve us anymore, right? So, I mean, look at what happened. For example, if you're looking at the ICC, the International Criminal Court, if you're looking at things that they've sanctioned, things again, not to get into too much like crazy shit, but with things with Israel, and yet Netanyahu is essentially what happened is as soon as these things, these apparatuses started, they kind of started being used against us. We're like, yeah, like we're
No
not
longer
going to do this
interested.
anymore, right?
Yeah. God bless America. All right.
I mean, we built this world. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like,
Kinda
the United
did.
States built the current world order. It subsidized it. Everyone else's economies have benefited off it greatly by the United States being the primary marginal consumer of all of their fucking goods. Um, I mean, realistically, it's going to feel painful now. A lot of my European, Canadian, just friends are not very happy with the United States right now, right? I think it's a very hard time.
Yeah, but at the
Uh,
same time, like I don't know how you could feel that way. When these headlines are coming out, apparently Norway is sending letters to their citizens saying that they may have to prepare for property confiscation in the event of a war against Russia. Like that is the benefit of having like a pro stake your claim, build the proper defense so that you don't have to send letters to your constituency saying we might have to take everything in the event that we're invaded.
I mean, that's why ultimately the United States has the leverage that it does, because what's preventing that from happening is NATO. What Article 5 essentially is that if that were to happen, is that the United States would essentially be obligated to defend Norway. I mean, the
Yep.
NATO, that's the whole thing that's kind of a joke,
But
right?
we're
Is that,
still
oh,
testing
what
it.
happens if the United States goes to war with NATO? What the fuck do you mean? The United States is NATO.
Yeah.
Like, look at the balance sheet, like look at the numbers, look at the size of the contributions, the size of the military. Like, we are NATO. Like, we can't go to war with ourselves. There is like, it's a joke of a kind of like a concept. So
Very interesting times. Very interesting times, Flo. Flo, do you have
long live the
do you
American
have
Empire, right?
do you have a comment on a Bell of Danger? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Gosh.
No,
What a
man,
moment.
that's about it. I'm just trying not to, not to over leverage myself, play some of these kind of extremes, tactically from a trading perspective. And yeah, I mean, it's a good time to be a trader if you're willing to make kind of big bets. If you're willing to take again the signals that are out there for you, especially that are coming from the administration, I think there's a lot of money to be made if if you're locked in. So
Electric. All right, then I guess we'll just wrap here. I've held you wait long enough. Thank you, Flo.
yeah,
Dude,
no
Flo,
worries, man.
do you like this? Would you come back?
Yeah, I would come back. Let's do it early or something. I don't know if you can tell. I'm fucking tired, dude. I'm dying.
Are you in the US?
Yeah, I'm in California right now, but I'm actually
Mm.
I'll be heading out to Korea and then Hong Kong for for consensus in a couple week or like in a week and a half.
But I'll see you in Denver.
Yeah, we're still deciding on that, man. That's like Korea, then fucking Hong Kong. We were like looking at fucking Tokyo, and then it's like fucking Denver, and then you got what is it? What is it? Con in fucking March. You got Dubai
Yep.
in fucking April. It's a wild world out there, bro.
Well, TBD. All right. Well, let's actually do more of this because I actually really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I'm always down to yap about. I actually don't get
Yeah.
enough of a chance to do this anymore. I'm way too busy with ostium shit. Just like honestly dealing with like the minutia of like just business development at Ostium Labs. So it's like I don't get enough time to talk about the markets, look at things. So yeah, super down.
Also, don't leave just yet because we're gonna end the show in like a second. But don't close out. Like, don't close your instance so that it uploads and we can clip it properly. Because I'm about to wrap the show up. So just don't leave until I tell you. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, no worries, man.
All right. Chris, you could just take it to me and then I'll wrap. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for watching the show. We're going to be back on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and enjoy your guys' next 2 days. A lot to talk about, and there will be plenty to talk about then. I'll see you guys on X, Pump Fun, and Twitch at that time. Peace, fam.